Morning.
Morning, my lady.
May I please, my lady, morning.
Nelly,
Good
so
morning,
please
my lady.
put the matter on record.
Morning, Judge. Thank you. Today is the 23rd of February, 2022. Calling the matter of Life Esidimeni Inquest, case number I-001 of 2021. Thank you, Judge.
Thank you very much. Mr. Late.
Thank you, my lady. The next witness in this inquest is Dr. Shirley Stewart. The witness is present. She's witness number 21 on the list.
I thought yesterday you said it was going to be Mahoba.
No, I said both of them are listed for today, my lady.
This is witness number 21.
21, that's correct, my lady.
Thank you.
My lady, before the witness is sworn in, and my apologies for my hand-raising function is not working. I just want to place something on record, my lady, with your ladyship's leave.
Yes, I've just noted, Mr. Profi.
May I proceed, my lady?
Yes, proceed.
Thank you, my lady. My lady, in my preparation for today's witness, it came to my notice that in Exhibit A2 relating to the case of Phoebe Sodom, the
Exhibit A2 relating to?
The deceased Phoebe, P-H-O-E.
Which docket number is that?
That's docket number 101, my lady. I'm just going to it.
No, it's 98, my lady.
My apologies. It's 98. Thank you, Mr.
Yes. You said A2?
2. Your ladyship, that is an effort by Amanda. Okay.
Just a second. Let me just go into case list. What is the page on case line? Let me see.
It's 6757 is A2.
This is Sodom.
Correct, my lady.
Yes, continue. This is page 6757.
Yes, my lady, if your lady were to go to page 6759, paragraph 3.3.
Yes.
Your ladyship will note that the deponent stated, well, in response to the request, provide any records about the incident that led to the wounds. And in 3.3.1, she says copies of the doctor's notes for the period 6 November 2015 until 7 December 2015 are attached here too. And 3.2, the nursing progress record for the period 1 December 2015 to 5 December 2015 are attached here too. Your ladyship will note that those annexes are in fact not on case lines. and they are important because they are directly relevant to the issue that is to be discussed. My lady, I was able to obtain those records. In fact, they are more extensive than those.
Are these records from Life Esidimeni?
Indeed so, my lady.
Okay.
And they have been uploaded under section 412 from page 37385.
Come again. Under section 412 and then pages?
37385.
37385.
Those are the doctor's notes, and then the nursing notes start at 37392.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Van Bergen.
Thank you,
Is
my
that all?
That's all from our side. Thank you, my lady.
Okay. Does this relate to the specific witness?
It does, my lady.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Mr. Profi?
My lady, if I may, I apologize for interrupting. With the leave of the court, I just wanted to ask for permission if I may be excused until tea time.
Yeah, but I don't like this. You please tell Nelly so at roll call. These interruptions, I don't like them. And please, I'm going to request all of you, if you have got an objection, please wait for the opportune time. And if your opponent is busy addressing the court, just indicate by hand and then don't just barging in, please.
Will do so, my lady.
Thank you. Thank you. Where is the witness, Mr. Late? Good morning, doctor.
Good morning, my lady.
Nelisa, can you continue to take the oath?
Thank you, Judge. Please state your full names and surname for the record.
Shirley Jenna Stewart.
Do you have any objections to taking the prescribed oath?
I have no objection.
Do you swear that the evidence you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
So help me God. Yes.
Thank you. You are hereby sworn in.
Thank you very much. Mr. Late?
Thank you, my lady. Dr. Stewart, can you first inform the court of your qualifications, please?
Yes, I received my basic medical degree MBCHB from Sifaku Makatu Health Sciences University, which was then Medunsa Medical University of Southern Africa. I then received a diploma in forensic medicine from the Colleges of Medicine of South Africa in 2002. In 2006, I received my fellowship in forensic medicine and pathology from the Colleges of Medicine, South Africa. And in 2009, I got a master in medicine from University of Pretoria in pathology.
Thank you.
Is it correct that currently you are a forensic pathologist in the service of the Department of Health?
Yes, that is correct.
You were involved in 4 autopsies of people who were part of the so-called Life Esidimeni marathon project. I'm going to refer you to the first one, and that is deceased number 98, Fabi. And I'm going to ask that page 6875 is shown to you.
Thank you.
This is a post-mortem that was conducted by Dr. Shangwe, is that correct?
Yes, it appears so.
And you consulted as the senior on this post-mortem, is that correct?
With regard to the reporting of the autopsy, yes.
Okay. Then I'm going to refer you to the page 6871. That is a histology report,
Yes.
which
Page
was dropped by 6871, my lady. An histology report that was drafted by yourself.
Yes, that is correct.
And then I'm going to refer you to page 6885. That is a histology, I beg your pardon, a toxicology report regarding the deceased.
Yes, it appears so.
Okay. You, before the proceeding started today, went through the post-mortem conducted by Dr. Shangwe, and you also went through the histology of the histology report that was drafted by yourself.
Yes.
Do you confirm the findings of Dr. Shangwe as you consulted on the post-mortem, as well as the results that you found in the histology?
I confirm the contents of the report. I just want to reiterate that I was not present at the initial autopsy. This report was drafted in consultation with me.
Yes, that I understand. I just want to take you to one specific aspect of that report. So just give me a second.
Thank you.
In the provisional cause of death is listed in Roman paragraph 5 on the front page of the post-mortem report. It says probable pulmonary causes, including asthma with chronic bronchitis, correlation with medical history and other contributory evidence is essential. And then toxicology report is pending. See comment on last page of report. Did your histology findings confirm this probable pulmonary causes, including asthma and chronic bronchitis?
Yes.
Okay. Then I want to take it to paragraph 4 of the post-mortem. That's on page 6876, where in paragraph 4.1 or 4(1), it states that there are partial thickness burns to the face, both forearms and hands, lower abdomen, and both shins. And it states the total body surface area is plus minus 22.5%. And then there is no superadded bacterial infection. The wounds may either be from burns or skin slippage. Do you see that?
I do see that.
And when we go to the to the bottom of the report, and that's on page 6878, it is stated as follows, and you consulted in this regard also, that on the bullet point number 2,
Yes.
although the initial impression was that of burns, taking into account the history given at the time, given the decomposition also seen at autopsy, the probability of skin changes being due to post-mortem changes is more than likely. Do you agree with that?
I do agree.
Okay. Can I now take you to the toxicology report? That's on page 6885.
Right.
I just want you to inform us what these kind of chemicals that was found in the blood of the deceased. The first one is salicylic acid. It was in the blood in the following concentration, 1 microgram per milliliter blood. Can you tell us what salicylic acid is?
It's a compound that's commonly part of anti-inflammatory preparations and analgesic preparations such as aspirin. It's used as an analgesic and also for treatment of fever.
And
it can be used as an anti-inflammatory in an anti-inflammatory context as well.
Thank you. And the next one in the findings in paragraph 4 is fluconazole that was detected in the blood, also in a concentration of 1 milligram.
Sorry, Mr. Late, to interrupt. This is page?
That is on page 6885, my lady.
Okay. I am there. Where are we? Let me see.
Paragraph 4.
Oh, paragraph 4.
Yes.
Yes, thank you very much.
There's the fluconazole that was detected in the concentration of 1 milligram per milliliter blood. What is fluconazole for?
Fluconazole is used to treat fungal infections. So it's an antifungal preparation.
Is that interior fungal infections, or can it also be used for exterior fungal infections?
I would imagine both.
Okay. And then the next one is no concentration, but valproic acid was detected in the blood. Can you tell us what valproic acid is?
Valproic acid is used in the treatment of seizures. It's also used as treatment in patients with bipolar mood disorder. It's an anti-epileptic drug. It can be used for seizures.
With regards to the finding of Dr. Shangwe and your histology report, as well as these chemicals that were found in the deceased, are you able to venture a probable cause of death?
On the autopsy findings that have been made available to me, there's no clear indication of a fungal infection. The salicylic acid is very commonly used, like I said, for fever, pain. It's part of the analgesic preparations. So that, I suppose, is in keeping. the valproic acid, I don't have enough history provided to me or medical notes provided at this point to comment on why valproic acid is found to be detected. And I can't see clearly a connection between these drugs and the cause of death, apart possibly from the salicylic acid, which is very commonly used for a number of conditions. So it's a very non-specific preparation.
Okay, and your findings in the histology, is there anything there that can help the court in finding the cause of death regarding this deceased?
There were findings in keeping with the possibility of asthma, and none of these drugs are used specifically for the treatment of asthma. There were also findings of diffuse alveolar damage in the lungs, which are due to a number of causes, which haven't been made clear in the history provided. And so the picture is really, really not clear in terms of what medical treatment this patient received and why, from what is provided to me at this point.
Okay. So in other words, medically, you are not able to assist the doctor in whether any negligence or foul play caused the death of this deceased, with what is available to you.
At this point, I can't make a comment in that regard. That's correct.
Thank you. My lady, may I hand in the post-mortem that is found on page 6875 as Exhibit M1.
Is there any objection to this?
None, my lady.
Thank you very much.
May it please the court, my lady, no objection.
The post-mortem report compiled by, is it Dr. Let me see the name.
Somewhere, my lady.
The post-mortem report that is found on page 6875 on case line, compiled by Dr. Lunga Shongwe. It's handed in and marked Exhibit M1.
Thank you, my lady. And with your permission, may the histology report that was drafted by the witness, Dr. Stewart, that is found on page 6871, be handed in as Exhibit M2.
The histology report, which appears on page 6871 on case line and compiled by Dr. Stewart, is handed in. Before I hand this in, can I find out whether there is any objection to this?
May it please the court, my lady, no objection.
Thank you very much. The report, this is the report by Dr. Stewart as it appears on case line, page 6871. It is handed in and marked Exhibit M2.
Thank you, my lady. And the next exhibit, the toxicology report that is found on page 6885, be handed in and marked as Exhibit M3.
Is there any objection?
No, my lady.
The report that appears on page 6885.
No objection, my lady.
Come again?
No objection, my lady.
Okay. The report that appears on case line on page 6885 is handed in and it's marked Exhibit M3. Thank you, Mr. Late.
Thank you, my lady. My lady, I would like to take the witness now to the next deceased that she was involved with, and that is deceased number 103 with the name Sam. I would like to refer the witness to page 7373.
This is docket 103. Ne?
Yes, this is number 103, my lady.
Yes, I'm trying to get that quickly. Thank you. I'm there.
Dr. Stewart, this is you are looking at a post-mortem report that was apparently drafted by yourself following the post-mortem examination of the deceased Sam. Do you agree with this?
I do agree.
Do you agree that the findings that you had made during the post-mortem examination are correctly noted on this post-mortem report?
Yes.
Thank you. My lady, I would request that this post-mortem report be handed in as Exhibit M4.
Any objection to this?
May it please the court, my lady, no objection.
Thank you. The post-mortem report, as it is found on case line page 7373, compiled by Dr. Stewart, is handed in and marked Exhibit M4.
The next document I want to refer you to, Dr. Stewart, is found on the historical report. Beg your pardon, the histological report.
Yes.
Page?
And my lady, just give me a chance here.
Okay, that's fine.
I missed it.
My lady, I think it might be at page 7379.
Yes, I'm on page 7379, Mr. Late. If you can just check there, I think.
That's correct, my lady. It's 7379, my lady.
Yes.
This is also an histological report that was drafted by you. Is that correct, doctor?
Yes, that is correct.
So this also pertains to the deceased Sam.
Yes, it does.
And is the findings that is contained in this report, the findings that you made during the histological examination?
Yes, they are.
Thank you. The next document I want to take you to is additional opinion that you had drafted at the request of these police service. Is that correct? And that is found on page 7381.
Yes, this seems correct. Yes.
Okay. In the post-mortem, my lady, may I ask that these two reports, histological report, be handed in as M5 and the opinion be handed in as M6?
Is there any objection to the handing in of the two reports?
May it please the court, my lady, no objection.
The histological report, as it appears on page 7379 on case line, is handed in and marked Exhibit M5. And the additional opinion by Dr. Stewart, as it appears on page 7381 of case line, it's handed in and marked Exhibit M6.
Thank you, my lady. Dr. Stewart, I would like to take you to the opinion that you had written. That is
Yes.
Exhibit M6. It seems from this opinion that the head injury, the blunt force head injury, was not very recent, but you are not able to say exactly how old the injury is. Is that correct?
I have in my histology reports, right at the very end, I'm just having a look at my computer here. I have made an estimate on the age of the injury, the head injury.
Yes. But you cannot assist. Can you assist the court in the manner of force that caused this injury?
I received the history of a fall, which it is consistent with.
Okay. And the cause of death,
Yes.
that you found is aspiration pneumonia against the background of a blunt force head injury. Now, for layman, can you just please explain what aspiration pneumonia is?
All right. So aspiration is the inhalation of foreign material. It could be gastric content or any other foreign material into the lower airways. And this causes an inflammatory reaction in the lungs. And this is what aspiration pneumonia is.
Can you maybe help the court with what the foreign material was that was aspirated? Was it blood? Was it something else?
I'm just going to have a look at my histology reports again.
Thank you.
I found microscopically vegetable matter within the lung tissue.
is it then possible that when somebody could have vomited and then aspirated the contents of the vomit? Is that a possible explanation for the aspiration of that matter?
Yes, it is.
Why do you say against the background of blunt force head trauma?
Blunt force head trauma raises the possibility of decreased consciousness and possibly a decreased cough reflex. It also raises the possibility of nausea. And I therefore think that this is a contributing factor to the death of the deceased in this case.
But if I understood your histology report, is that the blunt force trauma was at least 1 to 3 months, but not more than 6 months, was the subdural hemorrhage that followed the blunt force trauma. That is quite some time before the aspiration of the stomach contents. Do you agree?
Yes, I do agree.
Now, in view of that, I cannot understand what the meaning of the purpose of referring to the blunt force trauma is with reference to the inhalation or the aspiration of the food.
Okay. So regardless of the duration of time between the injury and death, I cannot rule out the contribution of the injury to the sequence of events that led to the death.
So it could have been that she...
time period, he might still have had side effects due to that injury that led to the aspiration.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. That's what I wanted to find out. Okay, can we now go to the next deceased? Is deceased number 101. It's an unknown adult male, and the post-mortem report is found on page 7159. Are you there, Doctor?
Yes, I am. Thank you so much.
This is also a post-mortem report that was drafted by you after doing a post-mortem examination on the deceased.
Yes, that's correct.
Do you confirm that the contents thereof is a true reflection of what you had found during the post-mortem examination?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. My lady, may I ask that this report be handed in as Exhibit M7?
Is there any objection to the handing in of this post-mortem report?
May it please the court, my lady, no objection.
The post-mortem report compiled by Dr. Shirley Gina Stewart, which appears on page 7159 of case line, is handed in and marked Exhibit M7.
Thank you, my lady. I would like now to take you to an opinion that you have written on this deceased, and it can be found on page 7167. Is it correct that this is also a report that had been drafted by you after studying the case docket in this regard?
Yes, this is correct.
I would like to take you now back to the post-mortem on 6-1. My lady, sorry, my author, this opinion is handed in as Exhibit M8.
Any objection?
Right, please, the court, my lady, no objection.
Dr. Stewart's opinion, as it appears on page 7167 on case line, is handed in and marked Exhibit MH.
Thank you, Doctor. If I take you back to the post-mortem report, the cause of death determined there is probable pneumonia against the background of emphysema.
Yes.
What causes emphysema in a normal, or what are the main causes of emphysema in the human being?
One of the most common causes is chronic smoking. It's basically a decreased elasticity of the alveolar sacs, or the airbags in layman's terms, of the lungs. So the elasticity of the lung is compromised, and these patients are therefore they experience difficulty breathing as a result.
Okay. So in most instances, say for smoking that is not good for a person, can you say whether there was anything other than the natural causes that could be found after having examined the case docket together with the post-mortem?
The pathological findings do point towards natural disease, yes, but I think I did reiterate some further issues in my opinion.
Yes.
I'm just going back to my opinion and seeing what my final opinion was. Yes, in this case as well, I didn't receive any medical records from Life Esidimeni Hospital. Neither did I receive any medical records from the Lady Old Age Home or the Randfontein Care Centre. And this is a problem because regardless of this deceased having had natural pathology, him being admitted to all these institutions means that he was in need of medical care. And what the standard of this care was is not apparent to me with the evidence that has been presented to me. I therefore cannot confirm or rule out the possibility of malpractice or negligence.
Yes, but purely pathological, you couldn't find anything that was untoward regarding the treatment of the deceased.
I just want to view my external findings in this case again. If one goes to page 3 of my report, just having a look at the evidence of medical intervention. There were some dressings on this patient that didn't quite make sense. I didn't receive any history with regard to why he had bandages over his legs. There were also dressings that were indicative of him having pressure sores. So it seems that he was bedridden, or at least immobile to some extent.
Yeah, but you didn't find any, if I understand the post-mortem correctly, you didn't find any current bed sores or inflammations or infections that could have contributed to the death.
No, I disagree with that. If you go to my description of the external appearance of the body,
Which is where?
The post-mortem report, page 3 of my post-mortem reports, point 4.2.1.
Just a second.
Sure.
3.2.9.
4.2.1. It's my post-mortem reports, not the opinion.
Okay, 4.2.1. Okay.
Yeah.
Continue.
Right. So under 4.2, I'm describing signs of chronic illness and debilitation. And there you will see under 4.2.1 an 80 by 95 millimeter dimension pressure sore involving the right buttock. Now that's quite a large wound, and the risk of infection is a definite possibility there. Together with the 40 by 28 millimeter pressure sore involving the right ankle, which I also describe under this paragraph.
Yes, but
so I believe that these are contributing factors.
My question is, there is no indication that there was in fact infection regarding these pressure sores that could have contributed to the cause of death, because the cause of death noted by you is the pulmonary problems that the deceased had. If you had seen any infection regarding those pressure sores, surely you would have mentioned it. Is that correct?
I would have mentioned it. Yes. Pneumonia in itself is a complication of infection, which is why I say that systemic infection is definitely a probability in this case.
It's a probability, but regarding those pressure sores, can you say that they were infected or caused infection?
Let's just have a look again.
Because it's not noted on the post-mortem report.
With complete loss of skin in the center, I still consider it to be a high risk for infection. I haven't mentioned septic slough over the wounds, but I still consider them to be a high risk for systemic infection.
It is a risk, yes, but you can find systemic infection. Is that correct?
The pneumonia is a
except for the pneumonia.
Yeah, the pneumonia is a consequence of systemic infection.
Okay. I would like then to take it to the next deceased. It's deceased number 71. and that's Aaron Dongwana. And the post-mortem can be found on page 6056.
Page
056, my lady. Are you there, doctor?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Do you agree that the post-mortem that is now in front of you was drafted by you following the post-mortem examination of this deceased?
Yes, I do confirm that.
And again, the cause of death that you noted there is aspiration pneumonia.
Yes, that is correct.
Thank you. My lady, may I ask that this post-mortem report be handed in as Exhibit M9?
Is there any objection?
No objection, my lady.
The post-mortem report as compiled by Dr. Stewart, which appears on page 6056 of case line, is handed in and marked Exhibit M9. Continue, Mr. Late.
Just give me a second. And I would like to take you then to the next document that is also a histology report. And that can be found on page 6063. Do you confirm that this is a report that you drafted after doing an histological examination of samples from the deceased?
It seems that the
Yes. So, I beg your pardon.
document
I requested the report from the investigating officer. I'll have it available shortly. I would like to take you to the next document. It's on page 6067. That is your opinion regarding this matter.
Yes.
Do you agree that this is also an opinion that was drafted by you?
Yes, I do agree.
What is most evident in this post-mortem and your eventual opinion is that it seems that the deceased had in some way ate a piece of plastic. Is that correct?
Yes, it appeared so.
And you said that definitely could have attributed to his death.
I would imagine so, yes.
The stomach contains a foreign object like a piece of plastic. What kind of symptoms would you say will be present for the naked eye to see while this person is still living?
There would have most likely have been nausea and vomiting.
And that would have been visible to anybody dealing with such a person.
Yes, absolutely.
And stomach ache?
Yes.
I presume the aspiration pneumonia is the same as you already testified about, is most probably stomach contents that has been aspirated by the deceased.
Correct.
My lady, may I ask that this opinion be handed in as Exhibit M11?
Don't forget that the histology report has not yet been handed in.
Yes, my lady, I will hand that in as Exhibit M10. I'm just not at my own computer now. I want to see whether it has been forwarded to me by the investigating officer. I see it's already nearly 11 o'clock. And may I ask that we take the tea break now to 11:15, so I can sort this out with the investigating officer?
Okay, that is before the handing in of this one. Okay, I'll
That's
just
correct, my
wait.
lady.
All right. We're going to take the tea adjournment. The witness is reminded that she's still under oath. We will resume at what time will you be ready? Should we resume at 11:15? Okay. We will resume at 11:15. Thank you very much.
Thank you, lady.
May it please the court, my lady.
Mr. Late? Doctor, you are reminded that you are still under oath.
Thank you, my lady.
Mr.
My lady,
Late?
if the court just, if the court could just give me a few seconds, I just want to upload the document to case lines. I just received it from the witness. The court just give me a second. Okay, kom nie. Wat so slecht uit? Thank you, my lady, for your indulgence. The document can be found in histology report. Can be found.
Histology report.
The histology report is, my lady, can be found on page. Oh, come on. Sorry, my lady. No, I lost it again. But it's in section, oh, there it is. And page 37423.
37423. That is section?
Section 412, my lady.
What about this one on page 6063?
That is only the covering letter, my lady.
Oh, okay.
The report itself, I load now in section 412 because if I load it up there, all the other pages are going to be wrong. Dr. Stewart, can you go to the page that I just referred to?
The histology report.
Is that that histology report that you drafted after doing the histological examination?
Yes, this is.
And you confirm that the findings are correct as noted in this report?
Yes.
Thank you, my lady. My lady, may I add this histology report in as Exhibit M10?
And also the opinion report as Exhibit M11.
Opinion is Exhibit M11, that's correct, my lady.
Is there objection to this?
May it please the court, my lady, no objection.
Thank you very much. The histology report as it is found on section 412 on case line page 37423 is handed in and marked Exhibit AM10. The opinion of Dr. Stewart on page 6067 case line is handed in and marked Exhibit M11. You may proceed, Mr. Lade.
Thank you, my lady. I have no further questions for this witness.
Mr. Martin, do you have questions to this witness?
As pleases your ladyship, my lady, I have no questions for the witness.
Just bear with me. Is it Mr. Peterson on behalf of the former MEC? Do you have questions to the witness?
May it please you, my lady. Not at this stage. We don't have any questions, but should anything changes arise, we just reserve the right to cross-examine the witness.
Mr. Fina?
May it please the court, my lady, at this stage, no questions, my lady.
Mr. van Bergen?
Thank you, my lady. In the light of the evidence thus far, I have no questions, but like Mr. Peterson, I reserve my rights, as your ladyship pleases.
On behalf of, Ms. Hasim, are you there? All right, do you have questions to the witness?
May it please the court, my lady, I have a few questions for the witness. Good morning, Dr. Stewart.
Morning, Advocate.
My name is Advocate Adila Hassim, and I represent families of the deceased in this inquest. And Dr. Stewart, I'm particularly interested in one of the deceased on which you conducted a post-mortem report, one of our clients. And I'd like to ask you a few questions in relation to that report. and it's the report of.
You can just give us the docket number so that it can be easy for us to access the reports there.
My lady, let me just locate it. It's a post-mortem report on page 6056. I just need to find the docket number.
It's number 71, my lady, in Godwana.
I'm indebted to Mr. van Bergen. It's the post-mortem report of Vuyo Aaron Kondwane.
That is on page
6056.
Yes, Advocate.
Thank you, Mr. van Bergen.
Dr. Stewart, this deceased, the date of death for this deceased was 7 February 2017, as recorded in your post-mortem report at paragraph 3.
As I was informed, yes.
Yes. This deceased had been a patient at Life Esidimeni, and just for your background and for the court, to remind the court, this deceased had been moved from Life Esidimeni to Anchor House on 29 June 2016.
Yes.
Dr. Stewart, at page 6056, your post-mortem report, under paragraph 4, what stands out from this paragraph are the third and fourth bullets. Could you please read those two bullet points out?
Yes. Examination of the stomach content reveals a large piece of orange plastic sheeting resembling what could possibly be part of a plastic bag. Microscopic examination of lung sections reveals foreign material within the parenchyma with associated inflammation.
Dr. Stewart, this piece of orange plastic sheeting, were you able to determine what the size? You say a large piece, but are you able to say anything more about the size of the plastic?
I'm just going to page through my post-mortem report and see whether I included any measurements. It seems I didn't include the measurements in my post-mortem report. However, this piece of evidence was repeatedly photographed, and it was also handed in as evidence, as I've noted on page 6 of my post-mortem report under specimens retained.
Yes. We don't have a photograph in the case docket. But
I do have photographs on this computer that I've brought with me.
Dr. Stewart, could I ask that you make that available to the evidence leader so that the evidence leader can upload that to case lines?
Yes, sure.
From your observation of the photograph, do you have any comments on the piece of plastic?
All right, I'm going to open up the photograph on my computer now and have another look. Right. So the photographs available on this computer actually form part of an academic presentation that I gave in the department on these cases. And
which department is that?
The Department of Forensic Medicine and Pathology, University of Witwatersrand, and Gauteng Department of Health. From the photograph that I have open here, I would estimate the dimensions of the piece of plastic to be approximately 50 to 60 centimeters by about 20 centimeters.
So that's quite large. Would you agree?
That is rather large.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And you note the cause of death as aspiration pneumonia, as you testified earlier.
Yes, correct.
And you explained that aspiration pneumonia arises, or correct me if I'm wrong, is it correct to say that what aspiration pneumonia means is where there's an infection in the lungs that result from the inhalation of foreign material into the airways?
Yes, that is correct.
And you found foreign material in the lungs when you did the postmortem?
Yes, I did.
Thank you. If you scroll down in your postmortem report,
Yes, okay. Don't move too fast. Continue, Mr. Hassim.
Thank you, my lady. Dr. Stewart, if you scroll down in your postmortem report under observations, I'd just like to go to a couple of aspects. The first one is under point number 1, in which the height and weight of the deceased is recorded. And the height is recorded as 1.64 meters and the weight as 36 kilograms.
Yes.
Which you describe under nutritional status as underweight.
Yes.
We've heard from other pathologists in this inquest thus far about the BMI index and what that means. Do you have any comment to make about the weight of this deceased? Because it seems to be that he is very light for his height. And
yes, I would actually, on further deliberation, say that he's very severely underweight.
Come again?
Very severely underweight.
Okay.
So where you have written under nutritional status underweight,
yes,
you would amend that to say severely underweight.
Yes, very severely underweight. I think I would have to do the calculation, but I would think that the body mass index would be below 15 in this case, which is very severely underweight.
And is that a sign of malnutrition?
Yes, it is.
Thank you. If we scroll further down the observation under paragraph 9 under head and neck, I just have a question of clarification.
Lady? I'd seen Advocate Pitlela's hand up. I think it just went down.
Thank you for alerting me. Mr. Pitlela, my apologies. I'm taking notes. That's why I did not.
No, I understand.
I didn't observe you.
I understand, my lady. My lady, I wanted to highlight one issue. As per the instructions that I received, I see that senior counsel, when she began her cross-examination, she indicated that the deceased died at Enka. Now, I wanted to clarify that.
That's not what I understood from what she said. She just said that the deceased had been a patient of Life Esidimeni, and then she moved from Life Esidimeni to Enka. That is what, unless if she can clarify. Ms. Asif?
My lady, your lady is correct. I was merely pointing out for background that this deceased had been transferred on the 29th of June 2016.
Yes.
I didn't say anything about
the person having died at Enka.
It's common cause that.
Yes. No, it's fine, my lady, because I didn't want it to be that whoever is representing CCRC does not get the opportunity, or maybe they are thinking they're speaking about Enka, whereas the issue is with CCRC.
So, in fact, was she transferred to CCRC or to Enka according to your instructions?
My instructions, my lady, are that Enka was closed in October 2016, and the deceased obviously died on the 7th of February 2017. So all the patients had been transferred to CCRC. That's just the one aspect that I wanted to put forward.
Okay, I'll just make a note here.
As it pleases, my lady.
Thank you. Just a second for Mr. Sim. Thank you. You may proceed.
My lady. Doctor,
where is the doctor now? Can you just put on your camera, doctor?
It is on, I believe.
My lady, I don't see the witness. I don't know if.
No, we're still waiting. I'm also.
My lady, can we leave the meeting and rejoin?
Yes, you can do that. Yes, the witness is back. I hope you will be able to see her. Can you see the witness, Ms. Hassim?
Yes, my lady, thank you.
You may proceed then.
Thank you, Dr. Stewart. We were still at your post-mortem report, and I had referred you to paragraph 9 on neck structures. I just have a question of clarification. If you could read the first sentence, please.
A bloodless field dissection reveals hemorrhage into and around the sternal head of the left sternocleidomastoid muscle.
Can you just explain for a layman and for the court what that means?
A bloodless field dissection is a particular dissection that we do in order to minimize any artifact in the neck. So this dissection is done after having removed the intracranial contents and the intrathoracic contents for examination. This is to drain any blood that's still present in the vessels of the neck that may be misinterpreted as hemorrhage. So following these eviscerations, we then dissect the muscles of the neck individually. And the sternocleidomastoid is one of the strap muscles of the neck, where I found some bleeding into the muscle itself.
You found?
And around it.
Yes.
So you found some bleeding into the muscle itself.
Okay.
Yes.
And what is the significance of that?
It could have been some sort of blunt force trauma to the area. It's difficult to ascertain the significance as there were no other injuries in this area.
But what you would have expected, let me say, if I can put it this way, normally is that there would not be bleeding into the muscle.
There's normally no bleeding into any of the strap muscles.
Thank you.
Come again? I didn't pick that up.
Can you repeat that for the...
In a normal case, there would be no bleeding into the strap muscles.
And just to repeat, you say it's possible that that bleeding was as a result of trauma.
Yes, I cannot rule out that possibility.
And then just for the record, my lady, at paragraph 17 of the report dealing with the stomach, again, the entry is that the stomach is full of dark slate grey grainy material with numerous peas and what appears to be part of an orange plastic bag or plastic sheet. Dr. Stewart, that plastic sheet is the same plastic sheet that you described a moment ago that was 50 to 60 centimeters by 20 centimeters in size.
Yes, approximately. And it was photographed. Multiple photographs were taken. And it was handed in as evidence.
You've already testified earlier that consuming that size of plastic would not have gone unnoticed to anybody who was in the vicinity of the deceased. Is that right?
Correct.
It would have caused pain and it would have caused vomiting.
Yes.
Would you say that it would be easy to swallow the piece of plastic that you found in the evidence?
No, I wouldn't say that it would be easy. In fact, it would probably have been a long, drawn-out process.
Thank you, Dr. Stewart.
Thank you.
We turn then to Exhibit M11. That's your opinion, page 6067.
Yes.
Exhibit, the other exhibit, the opinion.
11, my lady.
Just bear with me. 6067. Yes, continue.
Dr. Stewart, this is an opinion that was written by you, as you've already testified, and
Yes.
it's dated 17 November 2017.
Yes.
So this was about 9 months after your post-mortem report, correct?
Correct.
Were you requested to provide this opinion on cause of death?
I was requested to give an opinion regarding the possibility of malpractice or negligence.
And who made that request?
I think it was the investigating officer at the time. I just want to see whether I've noted who I received the docket from. And as far as I remember, I think it was the investigating officer, Sergeant RMW Mawabi.
Yes, and you addressed your report to him, your opinion report.
Well, I addressed to the prosecutor.
Thank you. Before you prepared this opinion, you were provided with background documents. Is that correct?
Correct. Yes, that's right.
Do you recall what documents you were provided with?
I was provided with the docket. I just want to see whether it's clear from what I noted what exactly was present in the docket. Yeah, it appears that there were a large amount of nursing notes. And I've noted in the second last paragraph of the second page of my opinion that no records were present in the docket from Millside Home for Disabled and Handicapped Children, the Rudaput Healthcare Facility, or from Life Esidimeni Hospital.
Okay, thank you. So the reports you received were reports of the clinical care at Anchor and CCRC, Cullinan Care and Rehabilitation Centre.
I'm just reading through my paragraph again, just to double check. I think the records that I recall were from CCRC. I haven't made any notes regarding Anchor.
Thanks, Dr. Stewart. The notes were taken over a period of time. Part of the period was while the deceased was at Anchor, and then he was moved from Anchor to CCRC in October 2016, as we just heard from Mr. Pitlela. So okay. It straddles the two, but we don't need to dwell on that for now. We will go to those records. Okay, so again, in your opinion, you note that there was a large foreign object. That's under paragraph 2.2, post-mortem examination. And you note at the second paragraph under that heading that the gastric content included a large foreign object, orange plastic sheeting. And you again report was photographed and retained as evidence.
Yes.
And then under paragraph 2.3, your discussion begins.
Yes.
And the background to this deceased was that he had a chronic disability in keeping with a history of cerebral palsy.
Yes.
And then you do an analysis of the nursing notes that were provided to you. And you noted certain irregularities.
Yes.
First bullet point, if I can take you to that. Can you just read the first bullet point, please?
Various entries record a number of episodes of crying of the deceased, the reasons thereof apparently never having been established. In addition, a single episode of rude and aggressive behavior is noted, dated 9 July 2016. Another note, also dated 9 July 2016, however, reads, well all day.
Dr. Stewart, can I take you to that clinical note?
Yes.
I'd like to confirm that that is what you were looking at when you prepared this report. And it's a page, I don't know whether you have access to case lines, but my attorney, Ms. Stevenson, will project it on the screen for you. It's at page 5998, my lady.
Oh, got it. Okay, I'll try to scroll what I can. Thank you.
Yes.
At 5998, you'll see a record of notes titled Nursing Notes.
Yes.
And on the left-hand column is the date.
Notes from where?
From what appears, well, my lady, it is contained in the docket as CCRC clinical records.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, continue.
So the first entry, my lady, is 9 July 2016.
Yes.
And it's at 8 a.m. And then, Dr. Stewart, is this the note that you had regard to when you prepared your report?
Yes, it appears so, yes.
Could you just read what the entry is by the nursing sister under 9 July 2016, please?
Medication given to him, and he is very rude and aggressive, all day beating us.
And then if you scroll down to the next page, page 5999.
Yes.
So did you have regard to this page when you were preparing your notes? Was this part of the records as well that you had regard to?
Yes. Yes.
And about halfway down this page is 9 July 2016.
Yes.
Do you mind reading the entries there for 9 July 2016?
At 4:05, personal hygiene attended by night staff, and then at 8, medication given to him, and he is very well all day. And then at 1840, medication. Gosh, I'm sorry, the handwriting is difficult to decipher. Something about over day staff, taken over from day staff in a satisfactory condition.
So is this the discrepancy that you are noting in your medical report, that there are 2 entries for the same day with incompatible recordings of the state of the mental health care user?
Yes, that's correct.
And then on the next bullet point in your report, and I'll take you to the page again. You say that it's noted and dated 8 October 2016, episodes of vomiting and running stomach, the etiology of which is also not apparent in the available documentation. So 8 October entry, 8 October 2016, if I can take you there, is at page 6014.
Yes.
Where are we now? Page
6014, my lady.
Yes.
And it's about the 3rd entry. It seems to be 8 October 2016. Is this the clinical records you were referring to for 8 October 2016, Dr. Stewart?
Yes, they were.
And maybe if I can just help, the 2nd entry at 10 o'clock, could you read that entry?
Patient got out of bed, started vomiting, was weak. Observations was done. BP 113 on 64, pulse 105. Patient was cleaned, put on comfortable position.
And then at 11 o'clock?
Patient started having running stomach. He was observed and rehydration solution was given to the patient with
and then
signs repeated, vital signs repeated. BP 129 on 80, pulse 101, blood glucose 10.3 millimoles per liter.
And then on 9 October 2016, can you read that entry, please?
Okay, the first few words are difficult to decipher, but I can read diarrhea, meals well tolerated, rehydration, 150 mils.
So in your report, you commented on the entries for 8 October.
Yes.
What is the significance of this? Why did you comment on this in the report? And as you see, I took you to 9 October as well, which shows that the deceased had diarrhea on the 2nd day. On 9 October, not just 8 October.
I just want to go back to my opinion and just have a look at what I noted. Could you please repeat your last comment or question to me?
So it's your second bullet. You noted
Yes.
the 8 October episodes, and I just wanted to comment on that further, what the significance of that is.
Oh, I see.
Was supposed to be sick.
In retrospect, this would be in keeping with the large foreign objects that he had ingested. The episodes of vomiting and running stomach.
Where are you reading on your report now?
I went back to my opinion, and it's the second page of my opinion.
Is that at the bottom here? The last paragraph?
And I read the second bullet point on page 606.
Yes, I'm there. Continue.
Dr. Stewart, in the second bullet point, you say the etiology of which is not apparent in the available documentation. Can you just explain that, the meaning of that for the court, please?
All right. So what I mean was that there was no indication of why he would have been vomiting or presenting with diarrhea. There was no mention in the nursing notes presented to me that anybody had witnessed the ingestion of the foreign objects.
So this was October 2016 and the patient demised in February 2017. So
yes.
Could it still have been as a result of ingestion of a foreign object?
Yes, it may well have been. In fact, it is.
Thank you. The next bullet point, my lady.
Second. Continue.
Please, the court. So, Dr. Stewart, the next bullet point takes us to November 2016 and the entry, and November and December. So there were two entries. The first is found at page 6021.
Page
6021. And you made specific reference to the entry of 10 November. In particular, the recording of the blood pressure.
Correct.
Can you just tell the court what the blood pressure was recorded according to the nursing notes?
83/56.
And what is the significance of this blood pressure?
Okay, so your normal blood pressure, the lower range of normal is about 110/70. So this was significantly lower than a normal blood pressure.
So this patient was not well?
No, he wasn't.
would a blood pressure of 83/56 require some medical intervention?
Yes.
What type of intervention would it require?
Probable administration of intravenous fluids.
And then in the same bullet point, you refer to 6 December 2016. And if I can refer you to that page, for that clinical entry, it's at page 6029.
Yes, Advocate.
Okay, so, and here on 6 December, the blood pressure is recorded again.
Yes.
Maybe it's a few lines down in the entry.
Correct.
Can you just, for the court record, say what is the blood pressure recorded in this clinical note?
96/52.
Yes.
So this is also a very low blood pressure.
Yes, this is abnormally low blood pressure.
And you indicate in your report that there's no indication of any alarm in this regard.
Correct.
What would you have expected?
I would have expected a doctor to be called.
Thank you, Dr. Stewart.
Thank you.
Your next bullet.
Yes.
My lady, there's an objection.
Yes, just a second. Thank you.
Thank you, Milady. Milady, yesterday an objection was raised, and perhaps, I'm not sure if the witness has left us. I think it might be best if I say this without her observing.
Can I check? I don't know. I'm not seeing her. Has the witness stepped aside, Mr. Late? Mr. Late or Miss Marriott? Miss Marriott?
Okay, Milady, I think I can take it that the witness is not with us.
Okay.
At this point. Lady, if I can just try and preface this with a brief timeline. My understanding from the documents in the docket is that this witness was transferred to Anchor during June of 2016.
Yeah, the 29th of June.
Yeah, 2016. She thereafter left and went to Cullinan Care and Rehabilitation Centre, and now we are examining reports and clinical records going back to October of 2016. We are considering whether or not the fact that the patient had a sore stomach in October may have something to do with a piece of plastic that was found in the witness's stomach in a post-mortem after February of 2017. So we have a timeline that is now stretching months, many months. Yesterday, when Mr. Pienaar was cross-examining Dr. Onoya, the objection was raised that he is using the witness as an instrument to speculate, and that objection was upheld. That doctor was going beyond her immediate observations in the post-mortem. And my fear is that is what is happening now. My concern is to ask this witness that to make a conclusion that a sore stomach many months before this patient passed away must have something to do with a piece of plastic found many months later will result in evidence that ultimately is not going to help this inquest. She cannot draw that conclusion, and we can see it in the way she's answering. She moves from saying probably to, well, most definitely yes. So my submission is, it seems to me that we are now engaged purely in the realm of speculation, and that we are examining the constant clinical care at the Cullinan Care and Rehabilitation Centre. It seems to me like it's a fishing expedition at this stage, my lady. So I would ask that perhaps if Ms. Hassim can maybe just describe where she is trying to go with this, so we can get a sense of whether or not we are just wasting some time here. As it pleases, my lady.
Let me hear her first, okay?
Lady, this is anything but a waste of time. The questions that I'm asking the witness are based on the witness's own report.
Mm.
The witness did a post-mortem report in February 2017. The witness then asked to look at the background of the clinical care of the deceased and provide an opinion. And so it's not speculation, it's based on what the witness herself had regard to. And I'm asking her to explain for the purposes of the court what she saw in her background investigation, which ultimately will come to her opinion, the conclusion of her opinion at the end of the exhibit M11. So there's nothing about this that's irrelevant. The deceased was correct, it's correct, was at Anchor Centre initially, but was also seen to by nurses from the centre, the Cullinan Care and Rehabilitation Centre. That's it. That's for other witnesses to come and testify.
In any event, what Mr. Pichela has told the court is that his instructions are that Anchor was closed in October 2016.
That is correct, my lady.
Yes. So it means from there, according to him, the patient was moved to CCRC. That's how I understood what he will correct me. But that's what I picked up. Can I hear Mr. Late or even Mr. Van Bergen if they want to say something? Mr. Martin, just lower your hand. Where is Mr. Late?
I am here, my lady.
Yes.
My lady, if the evidence, if the cross-examination doesn't go further than what was found within and the opinion of how long ago the ingestion of the plastic was can be taken, then I have no problem. But to make a generalized, to ask the witness to make a generalized opinion about what might have happened, I don't think that will take the court any further.
Okay.
Lady,
Ms. Hassim? Oh, let's hear Mr. Van Bergen first.
Thank you, my lady. My apologies again for not putting my hand up, but the facility isn't working. My lady, may I agree with Mr. Late, but at the same time, when one cross-examines in a matter such as this, a medical negligence matter, one has a certain line of thought and a line where you want to draw a correlation from one point in time to a different point in time.
Yes.
Admit that it's very difficult to determine exactly where it is going without being in the mind of the cross-examiner. And for that reason, some leeway should be allowed.
Would you regard this as Mr. Late has indicated, this they are not, she's not specifying, and the witness would just say yes or no, you know?
My lady, obviously, if more specifics can be provided, it would be of greater assistance to the court. But I don't know whether Ms. Hassim is perhaps going further down the line.
Yes, this is okay.
That's required, and she could at this stage just be laying the groundwork for where she is going.
Okay. Thank you very much. Ms. Hassim, before I go to Mr. Martin.
My lady, I just like to point out that, actual fact, the comment which seems to be causing concern here is the comment that the vomiting and diarrhea in October 2016 had something to do with the ingestion of the foreign material. That was something that was offered by the witness. It wasn't something that I asked the witness.
Mm-hmm.
And this report of the witness is important. It's the only thing that we have on record from a medical expert as to the background of the deceased clinical care and the ultimate demise. And I would like the opportunity to continue my questioning, which is based only on the information that the witness has had before her and her report.
Okay. Mr. Martin. Just a second.
As it pleases your ladyship.
Yes.
As it pleases your ladyship. My lady, I'm indebted to Ms. Hassim. That is the comment that caused me some concern, because it is a long arc to go from October of 2016 to February of 2017. And my concern is that it requires some degree of speculation to ask a doctor to state categorically, and I understand that Ms. Hassim says she didn't ask that, that's what was offered. But my concern is that when you look at the timeline, there is so much more to it than that. For example, in this docket, you will find documents that show that this patient went on a leave of absence for almost a month over December. So if the questions are going beyond the narrow point of asking, well, when was this plastic digested or ingested? Where would it have been ingested? Was it ingested at the Cullinan Care and Rehabilitation Centre? Was it ingested at Anchor? Is it possible that it could stay in somebody's system for so long? Could it have been ingested on a leave of absence? My concern is that it becomes very, very speculative, and my submission is somewhat unhelpful. But be that as it may, my lady, I am in the court's hands, and I do understand that Ms. Hassim obviously has a train of thought or a focus that she would like to follow. But my concern is that we have probably gone beyond narrow relevance at this point.
Can we leave her for now, and then we hear how she proceeds? So in case she exceeds the limits, then we will deal with that. Please lay the foundation for whatever you want to do, so that you shouldn't generalize the questions, Mr. Hassim. Thank you very much. You may proceed. Where is the witness? Yes, thank you. Proceed.
Thank you, Dr. Stewart.
Are you settled, Doctor?
Thank you. Yes, I am.
Are you fine?
Yes, I'm fine.
Continue. Ms. Hassim?
My lady, I'm just trying to find where I was.
It's fine. It's fine. There was you were dealing with the entry of the 6th of June.
December.
6th of December 2016, and you dealt with the issue of the blood pressure.
Thank you, my lady. So, Dr. Stewart, again, these observations that you make under the point of discussion is what you consider to be irregularities in the records.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. So, and your last comment was in relation to the blood pressure. And if I can summarize, and you'll correct me if I'm wrong, what you testified is that the blood pressure was abnormally low, and that there should have been some sign of alarm.
Correct.
Thank you. The next bullet point then is a note dated 4 January 2017.
Yes.
So this is, again, an example, and we'll go there, of inaccuracy in these nursing records. So at 4 January, we'll find the entry at page 6039 of the record.
Page
6039.
Thank you.
Yes.
Do you see the entry for 4 January?
Yes, I do.
And so there are two entries. And the first indicates that the deceased had breakfast. Is that correct?
Yes.
And then there's another entry which says that the deceased was on a leave of absence.
Yes.
So, in fact, what we have on record, Dr. Stewart, is that the deceased was on a leave of absence between 31st December 2016 and 15 January 2017. And we know that from the leave of absence form. And the leave of absence form is on page 6145. Do you see that? So it's a date of commencement of leave is 31 December 2016, due date of return 15 January 2017.
Yes, I see.
So according to that, the deceased was not at the center at the time this, at the time that the entry was made on 4 January 2017.
Thank you, Advocate.
So you had a clarity in that regard. You had a question in your report about that. That's what the leave of absence form says. And we have no explanation then for why a nurse would write for 4 January that there was some attendance of the deceased that had taken place. What we can say is that we can confirm that there's an inaccuracy in the clinical records. You then go on to note that there are no notes to be are seen to have been made between 12 July 2016 and 18 July 2016, between 17 August 2016 and 3 September 2016, respectively. Then you say the last note is dated 15 January 2017. There is therefore no available record of the 3-week period and the events thereof and immediately prior to death, which is stated in other documents that have occurred on 7 February 2017. So, Dr. Stewart.
Yes.
Are you able to say when the aspiration of the foreign object, whether it's the orange sheet or something else, when that could have happened without those records?
I can't say when exactly the orange plastic sheeting was ingested.
Okay. The witness was returned to the facility on 15 January 2017. And there's an entry. If I could just find the right page for the court, my lady, if you can bear with me for a moment. Apologies, my lady. Okay, so it's at page 6041. And you'll see about halfway through 15 January 2017, at 12 noon, care user back from home, accompanied by his brother and his father, Care user's skin is intact, no sores or any wound observed on his body. Vital observations taken. And then I think there's a blood pressure recording, 121/78, pulse 76, temperature 36.8. Care user was breathing normally.
Yes.
So if this user had ingested that piece of plastic while he was on a leave of absence with his family, would he still be walking around and presenting with these vital signs and breathing normally?
Difficult question to answer. It depends whether of care while with his family was obviously better or not, whether he received any additional medical attention whilst on leave of absence. It's a difficult question for me to answer.
Dr. Stewart, you earlier said that if a person ingested that piece of plastic, they would be in serious discomfort.
Yes.
If that is the case, would they be able to still exhibit as normal vital signs? Is that consistent with your evidence that the deceased would have been in discomfort and would have been vomiting?
It's still very, very difficult for me because it's not in keeping with the previous records provided, and it doesn't make sense.
Sorry, can you explain for us what you mean by the previous records that were provided? What is it that doesn't make sense to you?
It doesn't make sense that his blood pressures were rather low, particularly on 6 December 2016, a while before his leave of absence, and now when he returns from leave of absence, he displays apparently, according to the notes, a normal blood pressure. I'm under the impression that there must have been some sort of intervention.
We don't want you to speculate because it's not.
Yes.
What we would like is what you can say based on the facts before you. You earlier testified that it's possible that, and that this was what you offered, that it's possible that he had ingested the plastic sheet much sooner than February 2017.
Yes.
On what basis are you saying that?
On the basis of the records of his gastrointestinal symptoms, including the vomiting.
And the gastrointestinal symptoms you're talking about are the October entries.
Correct.
But it's also possible that that could have been brought about by another illness that causes vomiting and diarrhea.
Correct.
So you can't really say, make any factual observation regarding the role that the ingestion of the plastic played at that point in time, in October 2016.
At that point in time, but with regards to his eventual passing, I believe that the ingestion of the foreign object is highly significant.
Thank you. But you can't say when that foreign object could have been ingested, isn't that so?
Correct. I can't say when it was ingested.
As it could have happened in the 3 weeks for which we have no records.
Correct.
Prior to his demise.
Correct.
And so the absence of records is important. And it seems to me that you believe that it is important. At page 6068 of your opinion, the last paragraph. Could you please read out the last paragraph?
There is nothing in the available documentation to indicate any knowledge by the caregivers of the events leading to the ingestion of the large foreign object recovered amongst the gastric contents at autopsy. This is of grave concern, as the latter is a largely significant finding, which would have resulted in significant distress ante-mortem, including repeated episodes of nausea, vomiting, and abdominal pain, which are also known side effects of epilim and lamotrigine, the latter chronic medications possibly then having exacerbated these symptoms. And this, together with the sedative effects of Rivotril, would subsequently have contributed to aspiration and the associated aspiration pneumonia, a known complication of vomiting, which has been established to be the cause of death in this case.
A new comment on what you mean by this paragraph. So, is it correct to say that there was the ingestion of the plastic sheeting, and there was medication that was being provided to the deceased that would have also had an impact on his he might have caused nausea and might have had a sedative effect. What is the relevance of a sedative effect in this context?
So your sedative effect would decrease your cough reflex. If any foreign material had gone into the airways that he was able to cough up and clear, this reflex would have been depressed. Would he have been sedated?
So that's why you say it would subsequently have contributed to aspiration and the
Correct.
aspiration and the associated aspiration pneumonia.
Yes.
And on the basis of this, everything that we've gone through, the clinical records, the ingestion of the plastic sheet, for which we don't have a record anywhere of when this might have taken place, you come to an opinion, and that's in paragraph 3. Could you read out your opinion, please?
In view of the irregularities as described above, particularly the absence of records regarding the weeks and the events thereof prior to death, in my opinion, the possibility of an act of commission or omission, which may be criminal in nature, having contributed to the death, and thus deeming it unnatural, or the possibility of malpractice or negligence, is probable.
And do you stand by this opinion?
I stand by this opinion.
Do you have any further comments to make about your opinion? Any other clarification to make, or any other comments that you wish to add to your opinion?
No, I don't.
Lady, I just need to check my notes.
Remember, you only dealt with docket number 71.
Yes, that's correct, my lady.
Okay.
I will only be dealing with docket number 71.
Okay, that's fine.
Thank you, Dr. Stewart. I don't have any further questions for you.
Thank you very much.
Please support.
Ms. Mjerel, do you have questions to this witness? Ms. Mjerel, are you there?
Trying to unmute here. Sorry, my lady, I was just trying to unmute. I don't have questions for this witness, my lady.
Thank you. Ms. Foster, is she still not present today? Mr. Sibara, team. Mr. Sibara's team. Mr. Makanyi, are you there, Mr. Sibara?
As the court, please, my lady, we at this point in time we have no questions. But if something comes up, we'll ask permission to ask questions. As the court, please.
Mr. Hutamo, Ms. Siboko. Mr. Hutamo.
As the court, please, my lady, we do not have questions to the witness.
Ms. Siboko. Is she there? Ms. Siboko. I'm going to pass her. Ms. Ramaimela's team, followed by Ms. Toka.
As the court pleases, my lady, no questions for the witness.
Thank you. Ms. Toka.
No questions for the witness, my lady.
Followed by Ms. Maite. Ms. Maite, is she there? Ms. Maite? I realize that most of your colleagues are not attending these proceedings. I hope I'm not going to have problems at a later stage because they should have alerted me that they are not part of the proceedings. She's absent, like Ms. Seboko. There was also no response. I'm going to...
Judge, some of the counsels were here this morning for roll call.
Yes, but it doesn't mean that if they were there and they didn't tell you anything, they will be there throughout. So this exercise is also assisting me. Let's proceed. Mr. Shavangu, followed by Ms. Mboweni.
As the court pleases, my lady.
Do you have questions to the witness?
My lady, I'd like to put on record that I represent Ms. Priscilla Nyatru, who was the CEO of Kalinen.
CCRC.
Of CCRC up until the 4th of July 2016, my lady.
Come again?
Up until the 4th, 04 July 2016.
Up until the 4th, I didn't pick up the first part.
She was
you are representing her, who was at CCRC until the 4th
of July 2016, my lady.
Yes.
In the light of the above mentioned, my lady, I have no further questions for this. I have no question for this witness, my lady.
Thank you.
As the court, please, my lady.
Mboweni, are you there? Ms. Ramaimela, I've passed you. I'll come back to you. I've already passed you. Ms. Mboweni?
May it please the court, my lady. My lady, I have two questions of general questions as it pertains to this witness.
General in which sense?
I just want to find out from the witness whether she generally or does the autopsies on mental health care patients.
Okay. You may proceed.
Thank you, my lady. Good morning, doctor.
Morning, Advocate.
My name is Lisa Mboweni.
It's now a few minutes before 1 o'clock.
I will be finished by 1 o'clock, my lady. In fact, I'll be finished by 10 to 1, my lady.
Okay, that's fine. Continue.
May it please the court, my lady.
Mm.
Doctor, I just have two questions of general knowledge, just for myself to understand. Do you do the autopsies on mental health care patients on a regular basis?
Well, when we receive cases for autopsy, we don't always receive a full history. So depending on whether the cause of death is most likely to be deemed unnatural or whether it's completely unknown, these cases come to us. So it's more than probable that many of the cases where I perform autopsies do have a mental health history that I'm unaware of.
Did they inform you in this case that this is a mental health care patient?
No.
Doctor, just another question. Is it normal to find these type of objects in the stomach of a mental health care patient? Do they consume these type? Is this something that you've seen before? Is it something that can be regarded as normal, abnormal? I just want to understand the context of what was found. I know there could be hundreds of reasons, but I just want to understand that in your line of duty and having examined mental health care patients before, have you seen this before?
I haven't seen this before.
Thank you. You may continue.
You wanted to add, I don't know. Is that all?
Yes, I haven't seen it before. It has happened in certain cases, but I haven't seen it.
Thank you, my lady. I have no further questions. Thank you so much, doctor.
Thank you, Advocate.
Ms. Asim?
Sorry, my lady, I'm sorry to intervene, but I've just noticed that the photograph of the plastic sheeting has been uploaded to case files. I'd like to bring it to the court's attention, but it also means that I have one more question for this witness, I'm afraid. If the court can permit me to just answer a question of clarification.
Where is it on case line?
It's at page 37430.
Three 7430. You?
My lady, may I pose a question to the witness?
Just a second. Yes, you may proceed.
Dr. Stewart.
Yes,
this photograph is, I just want to be sure what we're exactly seeing here.
Yes.
This, what was removed, is this the object that was removed from the deceased's stomach?
Yes, that's correct.
And the ruler that's beside the object is what you based your size dimensions on?
Yes, that's correct.
This seems to me to be rather large. And just, I don't know if you can help for me to understand it with the court, that something like this could actually fit in the stomach. Do you have any comment on that? It just seems quite large.
When it was initially found in the stomach, it was...
Okay, just a second, continue.
Sure. When I initially found it in the stomach, it wasn't spread out like it is in the photograph. I spread it out for purposes of the photograph. There are some other photographs of the foreign object when it was just taken out, where it was crumpled into what seemed smaller, and I had no idea what it was at the time. And therefore, on further examination, I determined that it was this piece of plastic sheeting.
Thank you. And so, Dr. Stewart, this is why you testified earlier that it would be quite difficult to consume this foreign object, this plastic sheeting, because of its size. And it would take some time in order to actually consume it.
Yes.
And that could not have gone unobserved if there were supervision of the deceased.
Correct.
Thank you, Dr. Stewart. I have no further questions, my lady.
Thank you very much. Ms. Ramaimela, are you there?
Yes, my lady.
I have questions to the witness.
No, I do not, my lady. When the court was looking for Ms. Maite, I tried to get hold of her and she indicated that she was having difficulties. I was merely trying to convey her message to the court. But subsequent to that, I saw that she managed to log in, my lady.
Okay.
Thank you, my lady.
Ms. Maite, are you there? You are muted. I can't hear you. Is it? No. Is it?
No patience for the witness.
Oh, this shows that you are not part of the proceedings.
I was, my lady.
All right. Mr. Manamela, is he present today? Also absent. Come again? Is that Mr. Profi?
Only because I'm next, my lady.
Oh, I thought maybe I saw a different name, so I thought there was someone. Okay, you are therefore going to follow?
No questions for this witness, my lady.
Yes, and now we're left with Mr. Pichela.
Court, please, my lady. If the court has taken notice of the instructions that I put forward regarding the time when Anchor was closed, then I do not have any questions for this witness. Unless the court would like me to put that version to witness and to have an answer, but which I don't think would be of any use.
Okay.
So
it's up to you, Mr. Pichela.
It depends on the court. Pardon, my lady?
No, I'm just saying the choice is yours, but I don't think, as you say, I don't think it will be necessary, especially to a witness who's now an expert. I don't know, but the choice is yours. If you want to do that, you can. Isn't it? You have just indicated that the patient was at Anchor and you are not representing anybody from the CCRC.
Indeed, my lady.
Okay.
I didn't want it to be that, but in any event, I'll defer to the court on this aspect.
Okay.
I understand that if the court gives me the discretion to cross-examine or not.
No, you.
So in this instance, only
is it really necessary? because you are saying, according to what you have just told the court, you indicated that even though the patient was transferred to Anchor after he was moved from Life Esidimeni, Anchor was closed in October and the patient was then moved to CCRC. So I don't know, it's up to you, but I do feel that it's not necessary.
As court pleases, my lady. Then I would have no questions for this witness.
Okay, thank you very much.
Court pleases.
Those who have reserved their rights to cross-examine, it was Mr. Peterson, Mr. Van Bergen, and who? Then there were three, and Mr. Pina, if my memory still serves me well.
May I please the court, my lady? We don't have any questions for this witness, my lady. Thank you.
Don't have questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Pinar and then Mr. Van Bergen.
May it please the court, my lady, we have no questions for the witness.
Thank you.
My
I
lady,
see there's someone's hand. If you can just lower your hand, unless you want to address the court. Thank you. Mr. Van Bergen.
thank you, my lady. I have no questions for this witness.
Thank you very much. Mr. Late. Oh, Mr. Martin, do you have questions to the witness?
Thank you, my lady. If, with your permission, if I can just ask one or two questions about the plastic bag, the picture and its dimensions,
Just
I will
before
be very,
you
very
do
quick.
that, let me, Mr. Vesselo, do you have questions to the witness?
I have no questions, your lady.
Yes, Mr. Martin.
Thank you, my lady. Dr. Stewart, the picture that has been uploaded, you've described the color of the plastic bag as orange.
Yes.
And I'm just trying to get a sense. Is that your idea of the actual color that the bag would have been? Or is this a color that the bag might have turned into with exposure to stomach acids? Are you in a position to say that? Would you know?
Come again, Mr. Martin.
Do you believe that this bag was originally orange? Or would it have turned this color inside the deceased stomach? Are you able to know that?
I'm not able to know that.
Thank you, my lady. That's all.
But what I don't understand with this picture, it looks like, as you are looking at it, it looks like it's a plastic covering something. Am I correct, doctor?
It wasn't covering anything. I think I didn't stretch it out adequately. I didn't want to tamper with it, which is why I was hesitant while handling it.
So it is just a sheet of a plastic.
That's what it seems like.
As it appears.
Yes. It could even
So
have
the
been
whole
slightly bigger than shown in the photograph. I didn't want to continue handling it.
Okay. Are there any questions from this question that I've asked? No response, I take. Come again?
I have no further questions, my lady.
Okay. Mr. Late, is it the opportune time to release, excuse the witness?
It is, my lady.
Thank you very much, doctor. Thank you. You are therefore excused.
Thank you, my lady. Honored to be of service.
Thank you.
My lady.
Yes.
I just received a call from Dr. Makoba. He is busy with a post-mortem and will not be available for the rest of the day. But he will join us tomorrow morning virtually for his testimony.
Okay. Were these the only two witnesses for today?
Those were the two witnesses for today. I foresaw that they will take quite a long time because they both testified about quite a couple of deaths in view of what happened yesterday. but
Yes.
I was quite surprised today. So I request the court that the proceedings be remanded till tomorrow.
Okay. So on that note, we're going to adjourn these proceedings until tomorrow morning. Thank you very much.
Thank you, my lady.
As it pleases your ladyship.
As your ladyship pleases.
Court pleases, my lady.
As the court pleases, my lady.
As it pleases the court, my lady.
As the court pleases, my lady.
As please the court, my lady.